This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs wide.
First time we've seen them attack them, and there's Brandon! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robinson do. Taylor one, he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic! Here's Bob Williams. He's through here! And in the end, Forrest will say it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win it. Yeah!
Hello, welcome back to the Red Side of the Trent for the preview show where we speak to a fan from the opposition. And this week we are joined by West Ham podcaster and fan James Jones from the We Are West Ham podcast. Are you right, James?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me.
We obviously spoke last season and there was a mixed 2 games there last year, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But we're going to talk about the weekend's results a bit. Obviously, Forest come off from beating Aston Villa 2-0. West Ham had a massive ding-dong at Brentford, losing 3-2, where Brentford were winning, West Ham were winning, then Brentford ended up winning. Where did it all go wrong for you?
It's a good question. A lot of fans are pointing their finger at Mikel Antonio, because there was a big moment right at the end of the first half where Bowen put in a really, really good low cross into the box, and Saïd Benrahma's right at the back post, ready to tap it in, no problem. And for some reason, Antonio just sticks a toe out and takes it away from Benrahma, and it goes wide and over from about 4 yards out. And it was like, what are you doing, mate? Like, you're stretching to get it. Benrahma's there just for a tap in, and you've taken it off his toes. So that would have puts 3-1 up going into half time, and then it's a little bit more difficult for Brentford to get into it in the second half. It puts them a little bit more on the back foot. But defensively, it's just poor. We're okay going forward. 9 times out of 10, they'll have had some complaints about some of our attacking third play, but we scored twice away from home. When you scored twice away from home, you should expect to take something from the game, and we didn't because of sloppy defensive play in the second half. Silly own goal, and then just not defending Collins for the winner. So one of those games. It's been the story of the last 2 months for us, really, in the Premier League, or 6 weeks. We've just not really been good enough to win games.
It's a strange one because obviously a lot of people associate West Ham and David Moyes with being really quite organised, especially at the back. I rewatched the highlights literally just before I got you into the chat, and it's weird because West Ham just don't deal with the ball going into the box. It doesn't even matter on the quality. The first one, actually, if there's some communication, they could actually just leave the ball and it goes out for a goal kick. But then I don't know who heads it back into the danger area, and you're like, what on earth are you doing? It's like they don't talk to one another. But Mohammed Kudus' goal is probably a contender for goal of the month, I'd say, though. What starts of the season he's had?
Oh, it's been brilliant. And do you know what? Ever since he signed, fans were going, why isn't he starting? He was really struggling to get many minutes. He was coming on for the last 15 minutes of games, struggling to make an impact, which you can understand. He's new to the country. He's new to the English game. But he's proven. He's banked his last game for Ajax. He's got a hat-trick in the Europa League. So we knew what we were going to get from him. But Moyes he does with most new signings that have come from abroad, is he'll slowly bed them into the starting 11. And we're crying out for it. And he started the last 3 games and he scored 3 goals, or 4 games and he scored 3 in his last 4 or something like that. So in his last 2, the one against Brentford that you just mentioned, which was world class, an outstanding finish. The one against Arsenal in the cup only a couple of days earlier was just as good. It wasn't a basketball kick, but the way he brings it out of the air and beats the defender in one touch, and then just slides it past Ramsdale, was just world class. And we were looking at it going, well, we could have had that 2 months ago, Dave, if you'd have started playing him a little bit more. We might have scored a few more goals. But it's great that he started. It's great that he's playing well. His confidence is high, and there's a lot of hope now that him and Bowen on either side, or with Kudus floating or Bowen floating. I mean, it makes for a good attack. Really, we just got to sort out the striker situation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, West Ham had a really good start to the season. You were top for a little bit. I think you won the first 4 of 7 games or whatever. You only lost to Liverpool and City, and most teams are going to do that.
Seems like a lifetime ago, that.
Yeah, I mean, what was going so well at the start of the season compared to recent, where you've lost your last 3 games in a row in the league? Obviously, I know you won emphatically in the cup against Arsenal.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to put your finger on, really. You know, we felt like we had a bit of a disappointing start by only drawing with Bournemouth. By then, we hadn't signed anyone. We hadn't invested the Rice money. And so, although we were hoping for better, it kind of didn't really come as a surprise. You know, we just lost our captain. Technically, got a weaker team now, and we've drawn away at Bournemouth. Probably should have done better, but you know, we'll take it. And then by the time the next game comes, Edson Alvarez comes in, and then the game after that, you got James Ward-Prowse, who hits the ground running, and then Kudus comes in and starts showing a little bit of promise. So. But I think after that Bournemouth game, I think it was just the impact of some of the new signings. Alvarez slotted in perfectly midfield. Then Ward-Prowse came in, and I think in his first 4 games, he got 2 goals and 5 assists or something. And it just seemed like things were beginning to click again. And Moyes had one of the reasons why we performed so poorly in the league last year was Moyes just tweaked his tactics a little bit and tried to get us playing a style of football that kind of didn't really suit the team as much. He was tinkering a little bit with formations, but this year he's reverted to type. Low block, catch teams on the counter. Quite happy to not have the ball, let the other team have the ball, and we'll do a lot of our work out of possession. And it up until a few games ago, it was working nicely. We were well in contention for top 6 chat, top 7 chat, and it's just begun to drop off a little bit. And it's been disappointing because we were doing pretty well up until then.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching the game away at Brighton, and Bowen and Antonio scored goals like really good on the counter, like really good finishes. And you're like, oh, like wow, West Ham are back kind of thing. The Rice thing is kind of no one's bothered anymore. But we spoke last season about Declan Rice, and you was obviously completely accepting of losing him, whether you won the Conference League or not, which was obviously a great achievement for West Ham. Brilliant. First time you've won a European trophy since probably Bobby Moore days, I'd say. I don't know if that's right. James, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But
47 years, yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So, but how has Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse done to fill that void? I know you spoke about them briefly and they've hit the ground running, but do you still miss Declan Rice, or have West Ham fans kind of got over that now?
No, it's a funny thing actually, because although we'd accepted that he'd go, there was a lot of thought. Well, okay, well, it's fair enough. As long as we get 100 million quid from them, they've got to invest it well. They've got to bring in the right player to replace him. And you can't really replace a player like Declan Rice. He's unique in his own right. What he offers to a midfield is, you don't get players like him on the cheap. So we knew we were going to have to reinvest it well and reinvest it in something a little bit different. And David Moyes decided for 2 players. Edson Alvarez is prone to a yellow card, which is a little bit annoying, but also just safe as houses in sort of that defensive midfield role. Just a really good combative midfielder that can pass the ball, that reads the game well. But what Declan Rice has that Alvarez lacks, he doesn't drive forward with the ball that much. And that's where James Ward-Prowse comes in. He's a little bit more attacking minded. And obviously, James Ward-Prowse has got the set piece threat as well. So we're delighted with the way that they've reinvested that money for Declan Rice, and surprised that we don't miss him as much as we thought we might. And I think it's funny, isn't it? You see a lot of teams, they sell their best player and you worry for him a little bit. And in fact, they don't miss him. And a lot of fans are going, well, actually, we're probably better off without him, because a lot of the onus was on Declan Rice. There's a lot of over-reliance on that one player in midfield. Obviously, we had Bowen up front, but there's a lot of over-reliance on Declan Rice having a good game, and 9 times out of 10 he did. Now it's more of a team effort. And we were seeing that at the beginning of the season. The team came together and were putting in some good results without him.
Do West Ham have money to reinvest that still for a striker like you say that you're missing? Because obviously Antonio is very hit and miss. Like, he's not really a striker, is he? Let's be fake.
No.
I think you need someone that's better.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we've had better strikers in the last 3 years. Sebastian Haller's a brilliant striker, just the wrong striker for us. Scamacca, another one. Scamacca's another one, a really, really good striker, but the wrong striker for West Ham and David Moyes. But for some reason, we forked out 35 million, 40 million pounds for both of them, and within a year, 18 months, they've been sold at a loss. We brought Danny Ings in. Good in his day, bit of a poacher, but the wrong striker for the system.
Got a new hairline, though.
Got a new hairline, yeah. It's the only good thing about him at the moment. I mean, the fans are livid with the way that he's playing at the moment. So it has to be sorted. We don't really know how David Moyes does it. We're not expecting anything in January. We're seeing a few little links knocking about already. David Moyes notoriously doesn't like buying players in the January window. Will undoubtedly come out and go, well, we are looking, but it's very difficult to sign players in January. That's the line he comes out with every January. So we need a striker. And like I said earlier about Kudus and Bowen, if you had a good proper striker that fits the system into that front three, you've got a lethal attack there. But we're not holding out any hope for it. It will probably be Antonio leading the line for the rest of the season at least, and then probably going to be a new manager in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even talking about Paqueta there. I don't know if he's injured. We'll get a bit of more of an update on that later. Yeah, I was going to talk about David Moyes because TalkSport squashed that the rumours that Moyes was under pressure. But from what you've just said, it sounds like he is, or it's going to be a reevaluation in the summer where you kind of go, look, Dave, you've took us as far as you can now. We're going to go in a different direction. Is that what the point of view is for West Ham fans is mainly?
I think that's the general feeling now. The results over the last 4 or 5 weeks have kind of perhaps highlighted that he has taken as far as he can. We'll always love him, and he'll always be a bit of a legend at the club for what he's done over the last 4 years. He took us over just before COVID. We were in the bottom 3. And since then, we finished in the top 7 twice. We've got to Europa League semi-final. We won the Conference League. And we're back in Europe for the 3rd year running, which is a club record. We've never been in Europe 3 years running. So he's a legend at the club, but he's into his last 7 months of his contract. And I just don't see us pushing on further with him in charge. And we've just brought in this new director of football in Tim Steepton, who is responsible for the likes of Edson Alvarez, Kudus, and Mavropanos. Those 3 signings this summer. And it's common knowledge that he's also been tasked with finding the new manager, a more forward-thinking young manager to kind of take the club to the next level. Given the level of investment that the club are prepared to put into the playing squad, we now need a manager and some forward-thinking tactics to kind of match that and align with it.
Have you got like a few names on the shortlist, that especially like from what you might want as a manager? Have you got any names that you might be looking at? I mean, Kieran McKenna must be hot property soon from Ipswich, the way they're playing football as well. I mean, he'd probably be someone that might be ideal for West Ham. I don't know, but you might have someone else in mind.
Yeah. There's
not loads and loads of managers, is there?
No, there's not. I mean, the one that does spring to mind, who I think is a perfect fit and will have a lot to prove in the Premier League, is Graham Potter. And I think if he came in to a club like West Ham, where it is going to be a clean slate, it's a bit of a project now. I think the Chelsea job was a bit of a job too big too soon for him. Whereas, West Ham, similar level to Brighton, he can come in, he'll be given a bit of time, and he'll be given money to buy some players that will fit the system. Then I think that would be a good appointment. But beyond that, I don't really know. I've not really been looking. I'm kind of just going to try and enjoy David Moyes for the last 6-7 months, and then kind of go again, really.
The thing is with Potter is there's talk of him taking over the Sweden job, because I thought if Cooper ended up going at the end of the season, if Marinakis decided to part ways with him in the summer and say, like, this is as far as you took us, like, Potter would have been on probably Forest's list, but it looks like he might be going to Sweden. So it is interesting. There is not a lot of managers available. Like, the ones that are they're all in good jobs now, and then the ones that are like up and coming are still not experienced enough for you, and then you got the old school almost going out like Ancelotti. Well, he's going Brazil, I think, by the sounds of it, at the end of the season. So yeah, it's just crazy thing going on. But going to the game on Sunday, I was going to say Saturday, because you've obviously got a Europa League game tomorrow as we record this. So it's going to be a difficult one, obviously, to talk about too much of things about if there's going to be injuries or player availability. But what's your strengths and weaknesses been this season? Obviously, you said you prefer to be on the counter attack. Is that just going to be both of us just like letting the ball stay in the middle of the park sort of thing and stay away from each other?
Well, I think at home I know we lost our last home game to Everton. One of the worst performances under David Moyes in the last 4 years. It was woeful. But generally at home we've been good. We've been hard to beat, hard to break down, and we tend to have a little bit more of the ball at home. Doesn't matter who we're playing. But I think against Forest, who are generally poor away from home, I think you'd agree that I know you won at Chelsea this season, but that's what you've got the same amount of away wins as you did last year, and it hasn't. It's away from homes where Nottingham Forest struggle a little bit. I back us to want to look to dominate the ball. I think we're going to want to limit anything that goes into our box, given our defensive frailties at the moment. The bonus is that hopefully Zuma's going to be playing. He missed the Brentford game, but he should be back. That put him alongside Aguerd. Mavropanos has been brilliant for us, to be fair, but just hasn't had a lot of game time, particularly in the Premier League. Zuma's the captain. She put him back in there. Alvarez was suspended for Brentford as well, so he'll be back in there just to shore things up. So I think we'll look to dominate. I think we'll have plenty of the ball. It's just whether we can break you down in the final third. Because, like I said, we're good in attack, but in some games we just look clueless in the final third. It's really weird. Some games we look lethal, and other games it's just like they don't know what to do. Get in the final third, and they just panic.
Yeah, I mean we've had like some really difficult away games this season. I think West Ham is a game where we could get a result. Whether we win is a different matter, because obviously, like you say, that you're the favourites. That kind of plays into our hands a little bit, because we'd rather be the underdogs, as we proved on Sunday against Villa, where they're absolutely flying and we kind of like restricted them quite a lot. So it's going to be an interesting game from that point, because on the counter, I'd say we're quite similar in terms of like pace and power. Like Antonio and Awunya quite similar, like not the best technical players, although I'd probably edge Antonio in that department, weirdly enough. Bowen and Bowen's probably a bit ahead of Gibbs White. Ben Rama's probably way ahead of Elanga, but pace wise he kind of makes up for it. So that's going to be a very interesting battle in both directions in that sense. And the midfield battle is going to be, I don't know who can come out and top in the powerhouses, isn't it? Because who's playing centre mid for you guys then? Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Souček. Because is Paqueta injured? Is that right?
No, I think Paqueta should be fit, so he will play. It's just whether it'll be Souček will probably start, but it'll probably be Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus in attack. Paqueta will play sort of over sort of. Trying to work out what Moyes has been doing recently. Is
it like an auxiliary left winger where he can kind of drift in and do whatever he likes?
Yeah, and that's what he's good at, to be fair. Yeah. He likes to, he's very good in the middle of the park, but he can drift out to the left and he'll do some crazy flicks and try and mug a defender off it left, right, and centre. So, but the midfield will be Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse. They're there for as long as as long as David Moyes is there, really. And then it's Thomas Souček. Maybe there have been some question marks over his form, but he has been better than this season compared to last. So yeah, it's difficult to know what he's going to do. But now Kudus is in form. As another player, he's got to try and crowbar into the starting 11. So someone's got to fall out. And there's been a lot of question marks over who that should be. The fans have been debating that for weeks. Who should that be long term? Because you can't drop Kudus now. He's 2 goals he scored recently. He deserves to be in the 11.
Yeah, and then like Ben Rama, good squad player to have those. So I suppose there's that. Who's been your standout player this season so far? Because obviously it's been very mixed up and down. Like I'd say Kudus right now, but I'd probably say Bowen earlier maybe. I mean, he seems to be the Mr. Consistent, isn't he?
Well, Jared Bowen by a country mile. He's been absolutely fantastic. His goal at Brentford secured the Premier League record, first player to score six in his first 6 away games of the season. He scored eight goals in all competitions, I think 7 in the Premier League. And he's really thriving on being the West Ham's poster boy now. He's just signed a new 7-year contract. Declan Rice leaves. He's just come off the back of scoring the winner in the 90th minute of a European Cup final. And he's absolutely thriving on him being the poster boy of West Ham and being the number one. Delighted that he signed that new deal. Massive deal as well, 7 years or 6.5 years, whatever it is. And he's been unbelievable for us. And yeah, he's been a number one. He'll win Player of the Year for West Ham. He'll win Hammer of the Year. He's probably got it in the bag already, to be fair. But yeah, he's class, and you just know whenever he plays, he's got a goal in him. He's so dangerous. He can score from anywhere. He can head the ball. He can score with both feet. He's just getting better and better, and he'll be the way he's going. He'll be a regular in Gareth Southgate's England team moving forward, I think, and he's got a big chance going to Euros next year.
I was literally just about to ask you, do you think he'll go? It's such a difficult one from an England's perspective. We've got so many good forward players going, but it'd be stupid not to have him in the team, like, because him and Saka can play both right wing. Do you know what I mean? And it's a good alternative player, and he can play as a central striker. He gets beyond people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he's got a lot.
Saka will be first choice, 100%. But if Bowen carries on the way he is, he's going to get 15, 20 Premier League goals this season. He's already on 7. So if he carries on at the rate he's going, he's going to get 15, 20 plus. And if he does that, he's got to go.
Yeah.
He's got to go. There won't be many other English players in the Premier League scoring that many goals. So you've got to take him.
Yeah, definitely.
So if he stays injury free and carries on his form, he'll be going next summer, and it'd be brilliant for him.
I think I like his story as well. Like, obviously played non-league with Hereford and kind of come up and through the leagues. And I loved him at Hull. Like I really wanted him to come to Forest. I just knew he was way too good for us at the time, being in the same division. So yeah, but it's weird because he's not a player like I look at and I go, oh, I fear him. And then when he gets on the ball, I do fear him. So that's one of those things. But what's your thoughts been on Forest so far this season? Obviously, I know you mentioned our poor away record, but we have played like most of the top sides other than Chelsea, I'd say. The one that we beat.
Yeah, I was looking at your form for our podcast earlier this week, and a lot of draws in there. I think your win against Villa like stopped a run of 6 games without a win. But then four of those were draws, and I looked at those draws, and they're draws in games where I think it was Luton, Palace, games where you think Forest should probably win those. Maybe not Palace, but the Luton game. Looking at that, going, "Cool, that's a terrible result, really."
Yeah,
and it seems from the outside looking in that there's a struggle to turn draws into wins against teams that you should be beating on the day, and maybe this is just a little bit of a struggle in attack. I don't know whether I'm right or not, but from the outside looking in, it looks like it's been a bit of a struggle at sort of like closing games out.
It's more of a concentration thing, I'd put it down to. Luton was definitely like we were cruising, like they weren't laying a glove on us until we decided to make poor substitutions, really, and then we did not repeat that mistake against Villa, because 2-0 is a bit of a dangerous scoreline, isn't it? So where do you think Forest can probably hurt West Ham?
Well, you look at the Brentford game, it's obvious, isn't it? Stick balls in the box. I think with Zuma in there, I think we're a little bit safer, but You want to put our defence under as much pressure as possible in that final third. Put some crosses in. I think Emerson will play. He was suspended. Emerson will play, and he's very good at sort of stopping those crosses from his left hand side. But yeah, get balls in the box. Aguerd's prone to a mistake. Very good defender, very quick, but prone to a mistake. Prone to a bit of a brain fart every now and then. Zuma's just brilliant in the air, but also just a little bit flappy at times as well. Love them both. I think they're 2 very good defenders, but very good defenders that are prone just to doing silly things every now and then. So
Well,
put them under pressure, and you give them a chance of doing a couple of silly things.
yeah. Well, I mean, the battle between Kurt Zouma and Taiwo Awoniyi at the City Ground last season was pretty good. But we didn't have him at the London Stadium where you thumped us 4-0. And I mean, you mentioned Danny Ings being rubbish, but we gifted him a goal last season, so that says a lot.
Well, do you know what? He scored 2. I think it was his debut, his home debut. He scored 2 that day, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
And we on that day we were like, oh, finally we've got a striker here that can bit of a poacher. But ever since then, he has been one of the worst strikers West Ham have had, and that's saying something. We've signed a lot of rubbish. He comes on the pitch for the last 50 minutes of game. He just doesn't run about, doesn't do anything, doesn't run in behind, doesn't offer anything. Literally just runs about.
You've had a curse with strikers, I think.
It's just awful. We've got a couple of young strikers in the youth setup now, really, really scoring a lot of goals, doing really well, really impressing. And the fans are going, give one of those a go. Like, they must be looking at Danny Ings going, like, surely if you're bringing him on 15 minutes, I can do more than he's doing for the last 15 minutes of games. And they've never played a Premier League game before. So, but yeah, if he comes on and we need a goal on Sunday, do not worry. Don't go, oh my God, they're bringing Danny Ings on. If anything, you lot should be cheering that we brought Danny Ings on. If we're chasing a goal, we need a winner. We need an equaliser on Sunday and he comes on the pitch, you've got the points wrapped up, 100%.
They're famous last words, they are, James. But like I said, I'm looking forward to that battle. Awoniyi, again, not the most technical, but he just causes chaos. So, I mean, that could be a recipe for disaster, for just chucking the ball in the box with Aguerd and Zouma just trying to lump the ball aimlessly. So that'll be fun. But I know this is going to be quite a hard question to answer because you're obviously playing Europa League. But if, say, you're unscathed from tomorrow night, what would you expect your lineup to be on Sunday?
But it's a good question. I think we will go strong against Olympiacos because he rested a lot of players for the away game at Olympiacos and it backfired and we lost. So we need to beat Olympiacos on Thursday to have a chance to really put one foot in the knockouts. If we come out unscathed, then it will be Areola in goal, Emerson, Zouma, Aguerd, Soufal at the back. Alvarez. I'm going to say Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta. Kudus, Bowen, Antonio in attack.
Oof. Ooh. That'd be interesting. No Ben Rama. I like Ben Rama.
No, I don't know why you keep saying Ben Rama's like I like him, but the guy's got no end product whatsoever. He's one of the most frustrating footballers ever. Like he's got all the tricks. Can take a penalty. Every now and then he'll put a good cross into the box, but so many times, and it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. So many times he'll beat a man, or he'll get himself in a really, really good position to put a good cross in, and there's like 4 players in the box ready to read it in, and he'll hit it out for a goal kick, or he'll overhit it and he'll go out for a throw in. And he does that too many times for it to be like, oh, that's just a one-off. And I think last year he was a little bit better, but this year is just frustrating, just so frustrating to watch because we know how good he can be, but just not good enough, not consistent enough for me to start as often as a lot of people from the outside looking in will probably think. But he might start. I don't know. Moyes is beginning to like him. When he first joined the club, he couldn't get a start. He could barely get any minutes. And fans were like, oh, Moyes must hate Ben Rama. Must hate him. But now he's beginning to slowly edge his way in. But I don't know. He might start, but that would probably mean either Kudus benched, which I doubt very much, or Souček benched.
Right, fair enough. Score prediction for me, James?
I'm quietly confident. We need to get back into winning ways in the league. I think a lot rides on what happens on Thursday against Olympiacos. If we win that, then Towns will be up a little bit of positivity. To be fair, I thought that after the Arsenal game, we lost again. But I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham. I think we'll score goals and we'll take advantage of your poor away form.
Fair enough. Well, I'm hoping that the away form will slowly turn around. Maybe very slowly, but we'll soon see on Sunday, I guess. But thank you very much, James, for your time. If anyone wants to check out any West Ham point of views, where can they find your podcast?
Yeah, so we are Westham Podcast. We're on all the podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. We've just today launched a WhatsApp channel. So you can search for us on WhatsApp now, which is a new concept, but done that. So yeah, we're on every platform pretty much. TikTok, Instagram, you name it, we're on it. Yeah, and there's a lot of at the moment. It's just pretty much us taking the mick out of Arsenal after we beat them a week ago tonight, and we're still dining out on it because it was very unexpected.
Fair enough. Well, I would wish you luck for Sunday, but that's just pointless, isn't it? But all the best for the rest of the season. All the best for the rest of the season.
You too. Thanks very much.
No worries. Take care. Bye-bye. And come on, you Reds.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.